Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a video about one of my favorite topics. This is something that I know a lot of people disagree with me on. Some people might be like me and see like a guilty pleasure. One of the favorite things I like doing every week and every day basically is keeping up with the Kardashians. I like to watch the show. I like to watch their social media. I like to watch the little kids. I think they're really cute. I definitely keep up with their drama and their boyfriends and this and that. I think that everyone does. I think that today they're like the most famous people other than Donald Trump and even the royal family in the UK and the US. They're like way more famous than the royal family. Um, I think that we see them so much and they expose so much that it's just like another thing to do. If you're bored, you can look at them, and I know a lot of people don't like them for certain different reasons, but I watch them. I like them and I like to watch it. I like to see the business aspects and I like to see the family aspects. Like, I'm someone who I have a lot of older sisters, but I'm not really that close with them. They're a lot older than me, so I never really had that sister dynamic. And watching that show really gives that sister dynamic and shows that what a sisterhood is. Um, Despite all that, I know a lot of people have bad ideas about them, and especially Kim. Obviously, we all know Kim is the ringleader. She basically became famous by being pretty. People say for doing nothing, but really, she modeled. She did a lot of work uh, that was like semi nude and not really nude. Obviously, we know what really catapulted her in her reality show. To me, I think it was a reality show more than the actual tape, but there was a tape, right? I didn't watch it when I was 14 years old and the show just came out. I just saw another show that came on E and I wanted to watch it. It wasn't until someone older told me that I shouldn't be watching that because this girl did XYZ, and I still kept watching it and I still am today. Kim Kardashian recently has been going through law school. And law school is something that is so hard. And if you didn't go, unless you went to like medical school or maybe you were like a computer science major, I don't really think, I think those things might be even a little harder. But they're just different. I think that there's only one experience like going to law school, and that's law school. It's really hard, and I don't know, like anyone in their right mind really wants to do it. I guess you really have to want to be a lawyer. And I think Kim really does. So as a law school graduate, I wanted to talk about Kim Kardashian's law school. Okay, so Kim K goes to law school in a non-conventional way, but in a legal way, in a way that will allow you to be a lawyer. I've seen a lot of people critique her for this, especially lawyers saying like, I'm a lawyer and I went to law school for 3 years and I had to sit through all these classes and exams, and it's not fair that she doesn't have to do that and she could still become a lawyer. Well, actually, when I was in law school, I had a whole different feeling. For me, I did undergrad and I basically did most of my classes online. I was a business major. I went to campus sometimes. I got to choose my schedule, like I think most college students do. I think most college students do classes online right now. Well, now during the shutdown, we are all doing our classes online. I mean, anyone who's in school is doing classes online. But even before that shutdown, I think a lot of college students either had like hybrid online and meeting in class, and or some of them were fully online, even if they lived on campus. So to me, I felt like college was a lot of flexibility, and I really preferred that. I wasn't really the person who wanted to go to class. I like that they had the option that if you really want to do that, like some of my classes, I really needed that extra time in class. Like for example, calculus, like that was a really hard class for me, and I really needed the extra time in class. But say for other classes like marketing or occupational management, those are easier classes for me and I could just easily take them online. I really like that I got to choose my schedule. And I think that having classes online really opens colleges up to people who really couldn't go to traditional school, people who have kids, people who have day jobs. And luckily, my college is really accepting of people who weren't going the traditional college route. Law school, on the other hand, was a huge difference. I went to the most convenient and non-traditional type of law school I possibly could, which was going to an evening program. And even at that, I had to spend so much more time in school. I always had to go to lectures. Law school, you don't get like tests every week. Like in college, I used to get quizzes and tests like every week, or like 3 tests a semester. In law school, basically, it was only a final, and you had a midterm, but it didn't really count, and it was all based on your final. And a lot of times I think that people really talk their way into their final grades. Like, of course, you had to work for it. There was a curve. So a lot of times the entire class would fail their class, and the highest failure would become the A. And I just don't think that that's right or smart. But that's how law school really works. It's mostly graded on a curve, especially the first year classes. And you basically, if you get to know the professor, you have a higher chance of getting a good grade. I'm not saying that anyone is bribing professors, but I just think that's the way it works, in most places, in most schools, and in most law schools. What Kim is doing is really different. And I actually heard about what she was doing first from an ABA newsletter I got. ABA is the American Bar Association, and they sent out a newsletter to me, and they were talking about how certain states you didn't have to go to law school to be a lawyer, and you actually just had to apprentice under someone. And I thought that was the smartest thing, because during my internships and all that, I worked with a lot of paralegals and people who knew so much about being a lawyer that they basically just could become a lawyer, but they really like can't afford the $100,000 it is to go to law school. They can't they can't take that time every single day to like go to school for 5 hours after work and to study until 1 a.m. They're just not able to do that. That's very hard. I had someone really close to me in law school who did that. She was a mom. She took care of her parents, and she had a day job as a paralegal for many years, and she went to law school and she did really well in law school, and she did extracurriculars and all these things. But it's like basically that was like extremely hard for her, and like just hearing that, it just sounds like a lot, and it's something that I necessarily like probably wouldn't do. I already had a career as a paralegal, but like sometimes they can just make that, if they can make it a little easier to do it, they have the knowledge already. They probably have more knowledge than the average law student. And the reason why I bring that up is basically to say that a lot of people are diminishing what Kim K is doing, which is an apprenticeship program. So she's apprenticing under the Cut 50, which is a law firm in San Francisco that does criminal justice reform. That's what she wants to do, and that's what she's interning in, and that's what she's learning. Does she have to take the regular law school classes to teach you everything? Yes, but she gets to do it on her own time. And I understand that she's one of the richest people in the country, and a lot of people can't really empathize with that, but at the same time, she does run her businesses. She has her television show, which is on all the time. She basically is being filmed all day. She runs her Skims in KKW. That's her basically her day job. And then she also has 4 children and a husband. So it's like all of that is a lot for her to be also like traveling to law school. Also, someone like her, imagine her like sitting next to you in law school. It's like when Nick Cannon went to Howard, and then they said they never saw him. The Howard students said they never really saw him at his Howard classes. It's like, you think Kim K is really gonna sit in a law school class? And maybe she could, but also she doesn't really have the prerequisites to go to law school, technically, and that's another thing. So she doesn't have a full bachelor's degree, but she had over 60 credits on to a bachelor's degree. So she had dropped out of school. I believe it was when she got married when she was 19, or I don't know if she dropped out and then she got married, or if her marriage really was like what made her drop out of school. If her husband, I know that he was reportedly abusive, if he made her drop out of school, but whatever the case was, she dropped out of her bachelor's degree route from community college. So basically she was like getting her associate's degree. Um, she she never really discussed this a lot, and I probably think it's because she feels like she didn't finish, so maybe she just shouldn't talk about it. I didn't know that she went to any college until basically she started law school. She started talking about how she did go to college for a few years, but I could see how, you know, her older sister went to college and graduated, and she probably felt like she failed at that because she got married and she went to have this other lifestyle, and then her marriage didn't work out, and that could have been something. But I guess she has enough credits, but to go to any law school in this country, you need a bachelor's degree and you need an LSAT score. You need to take the LSAT. I think that's one thing maybe with this apprenticeship program, they can make them take the LSAT. The LSAT honestly has nothing to do with law school or being a lawyer at all. I don't know. It's an aptitude test. It's just, it doesn't really make any sense why. It just basically shows if you can do this aptitude test, then you can go to a certain school. It really doesn't make any sense. A lot of people don't do well on it. I personally did okay to the point that I got a scholarship to my school, but I didn't really do that well anyway. Overall, people definitely couldn't have gone to a Harvard or something. But that's another aptitude test that really doesn't make sense, and really, it's not gonna change what she does as a lawyer. I think that the barriers to entry to law school are really bad, and I actually saw this on The View, where Sunny was talking to Joy Behar, and Sunny was saying how the program that she's in is actually really good because it allows people who normally wouldn't be able to go to law school, basically because of how much money it costs and how much time it takes to go, because maybe they already worked in a law firm or they already knew someone who's a lawyer. And I think that this all started with like sugar farmers, because these sugar farmers they had so many lawsuits against their employers who were treating them horribly. And I believe a lot of them wanted to become lawyers, but they really couldn't afford it. And they didn't really have a lot of the same time to go to law school. They didn't have that privilege and that ability to do it. So they made this apprenticeship program for those people. And Joy Behar said, do we need more lawyers? Like, do we need more people to go to law school? And I don't think that we necessarily need more lawyers. There's definitely a lot of lawyers, probably more than enough. But we do need a more diverse field of law. We need more people who are women, who are mothers, who are women of color, who are poor, who had regular jobs, who worked normal jobs and didn't have daddy's money to go to law school and pay for a dorm room and pay for room and board and food and meal plans and all that to go to law school. We need people like that to go to law school. We need people who worked and who understand what a working person goes through to go to law school. I know that Kim Kardashian is pretty far from that, but at the same time, she is a mother. She is in her late 30s and she is going back to school. She changed her life dramatically. I think she did grow up pretty rich, but she did make a huge change in her life. And someone like that, especially with her background basically in the adult industry, if you can call it that, that is something that even is more important, because a lot of people think that if you have a bikini picture on your Instagram, you cannot be a doctor, a lawyer, or a nurse. You cannot be anything other than the hot girl in the bikini picture, and it's just not true. We can be all those things. We can be a successful businesswoman, a mother, and hot in pictures all at once. And I think that she's really proving that. Overall, I think that her going to law school is really good, and I hope that it opens up that apprenticeship program to other people so they can see that they can do that as well. If they can find a sponsoring firm and do it without having to go through really expensive school. It's going to take about the same amount of time, but you're going to probably have to spend less time that you would in class, commuting to class and things like that. You definitely won't have to like live on a campus. You don't have to be in a class full of 22 and 23-year-olds if you're 40 or 50, which can be a little daunting as well. And you can actually learn about the field that you want to go into, which you don't learn in law school. You can do apprenticeship in law school, but it's not really like learning. Like, I'm sure that if you do an apprenticeship program, you're going to learn much more than by just going to school alone. I think that what she's doing is really important, and hopefully other people can see this and change their decision they had about her and understand why she did it, why it's important, and why breaking down some of these barriers to the legal industry is really important. Because we want to see people who, well, I want to. I don't know about everyone in Congress and the whole legal community, but I would like to see more people who actually have been affected by people who abuse laws actually become lawyers and fight against those laws and make it a little bit easier to become that. Not everyone is going to be competing against each other. Everyone's going to have something different, but I would like to see a different type of person have the ability to become a lawyer, if that makes sense. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys watch the next one, and I'll probably do more Kardashian videos too, because that's something I'm interested in, all their business moves and everything else they do. Thanks for watching. Bye.